Welcome everyone to Wrasslin Raw!
Right, you're listening to Wrasslin Raw, the podcast that takes you back to when the new generation took over the WWF. Thank you for joining us. You're here with Ryan Arico.
Thank you, Bartlett, with your $1 million body and 10-cent brain.
Joe Gimateo.
You know, guys, in all seriousness, this week I had on my right cheek, not my ass cheek, but the cheek on my face, I had a Mount Vesuvius growing. And I
needed a Stridex pad.
had to use a super-sized Stridex pad to strip away all the natural oils from my face.
Did Steph put you up against a mirror and do a play-by-play Madden drawing on the mirror with little droplets coming out of your Vesuviuses?
We'll have to do that for next time.
Post it on the Insta.
Yeah.
I'm the one and only Jason Bartlett, and we're going to examine WWE history one episode of Raw at a time. But first, Ryan, what's this I hear about the Jobber of the Week situation?
We have some decent jobber work this week, but most of them are already former Jobber of the Weeks. The only guy is in the first match, we got Joe Hancock, but he's got this match and one other one is recorded matches that could actually be found. So sorry, but no Jobber of the Week this week.
Ah, man. Well, that will be reflected in your pay.
I expected it.
In this episode of Wrasslin Raw, we're going to be talking about the Raw that aired on August 21st, 1995. This Raw was recorded at the Worcester Centrum in Worcester, Massachusetts, and features Vince McMahon and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary. Are you guys ready?
I'm ready.
Ready.
All right, then. Let's get into it. Well, first off, Jesus Christ, on Superstars this past weekend, some shit went down. The Sprockets people were at ringside again, and this time with another black wreath during a Kama match. Apparently, Kama had had enough of their shit and tore the wreath to pieces in the middle of the ring. What was a little bit telling about this, though, is that this clearly isn't the usual Dieter.
No.
This was a ringer. But I digress. The gimmicked Sprocket guy is what I'm going to call him, I guess. The gimmicked Sprocket guy.
He was not as happy as a little girl.
No. Climbs into the ring after Kama busts up the wreath and starts heading out the entryway. And Sprocket's guy starts gathering up the pieces left there in the ring, acting very distraught. Damn it, that was the exact wrong thing to do, because the look on Kama's face when he turns around and he realizes what's going on is something that I hope to never see on a human being in person. It was pure murder. But then, you know what? Dieter kind of gets what he deserves because he has the fucking stones to throw the pieces of the wreath in Kama's face.
Yeah, he asked for it.
Yeah. To nobody's surprise, Kama proceeds to beat the living shit out of the poor guy. And you know what? Hey, while we're here doing this, we're going to go ahead and just put over Undertaker versus Kama coming up at SummerSlam. So good stuff getting ready to come down the pike at us. We're also going to be putting over our match later on tonight when The Undertaker meets Tatanka. There's a nice little promo here from The Undertaker saying it's a death march to SummerSlam. God damn, that was a great line.
Especially with all that red light that they had.
Yeah. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't mention tonight as being the first step on the Trail of Tears, you know, with Tatanka, but then again, that's maybe just my sick sense of humor. Now we're going to cue the royal sounds of a procession, because this is our first match of the night. Men on a Mission defeat Roy Raymond and Joe Hancock by pinfall in 2 minutes and 47 seconds. I am happy to report that Roy Raymond is still wearing his Beetlejuice tights. I don't think he's taken them off at all. Mabel was lighting up Joe Hancock with some knife-edge chops at the beginning of this match. They looked pretty good, but after that, things settled down into your typical men on a mission power move kind of match here. I did have to laugh when Sir Mo tried to military press Hancock and just couldn't quite get him up there. He tried a good 2 or 3 times and it wasn't happening. The fluidity of Men on a Mission as a tag team is pretty lacking most of the time. There were things going on here, such as quick tags, that weren't working well. These guys are definitely not the smoking guns. I mean, you can give them a little bit of credit for trying to amp up their tag game, but still, I mean, you can't polish a turd. The pile driver that Mabel puts on Hancock looked pretty good, I have to admit. Hopefully Hancock's excellent sell of it wasn't because he was paralyzed for real. Distinct possibility when working with Mabel. Roy Raymond finally does get in a little action there. He mounts a bit of an offense, but it does not last. As per usual, Mabel decides to go home and finishes it up with the belly-to-belly slam. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's acoustics. I don't know if it's microphones. I don't know if it's the way that they're putting the ring together. But every time Mabel hits this belly-to-belly slam, it looks and sounds impressive, coupled with Mabel doing his whoa kind of yell as he's doing it. I mean, don't get me wrong, the rest of his stuff is generally shitty, but this finisher, it never ceases to impress me. After the 3 count, Mabel grabs the microphone and cuts a promo calling themselves the greatest tag team of all time. Okay, I suppose you expect a heel to do that. And then calls out the Allied Powers for some goddamn reason.
Not the champs.
Yeah.
He needs a tune-up match.
Yeah. Please, both of you, whenever we get to your breakdowns here, I want to hear what you think a tune-up match means. But Mabel and Mo bow to each other on their way out of the ring and leave us with a hail to the king, baby. Just for the record, I have no idea what would be meant by a tune-up match, but Joe, please, why don't you get us going on this and what you think a tune-up match is?
This is jobbers versus jobbers here. Tune-up match for me, I mean, I think we know why they're doing it. For storytelling purposes, impromptu storytelling purposes.
We'll save
later.
that for the end, yeah.
Yeah, but a tune-up, I mean, Mabel does need ring work, so
yeah,
maybe that's what it is. I don't know. But Men on a Mission here, I'll start with a couple positives. Men on a Mission, in this match, to me, they kind of displayed some decent tag team work. Lots of tags in and out, a lot of double team moves, but they're just slow and not very entertaining. Mabel in particular, I was more focused on this because this guy is getting a title shot in less than a week. He's still in a tag team. I don't know why. If he's getting a singles push, why do they even have him in a tag team? And him giving a pile driver to somebody is scary as hell. I mean, this guy was known for being dangerous in the ring and nobody wanted to work with him. And you're letting him do that? Like, that's bad. And honestly, watching Mabel makes me appreciate somebody like Yokozuna a little bit more, like his athletic abilities. And Yoko's not slow and dangerous like Mabel for the size. But I'll end on another positive. I do like the in-ring promo at the end. I think that's something that we don't get enough of that in 95. So I kind of like Mabel doing that.
I'll start with the fact that Joe Hancock, when he started this match, the first thing I came to mind, just the way he looked with that mustache, was he looked like a cop in any cop movie that you've ever seen. With that mustache and parted hair, Super Troopers, he would have fit in perfect.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of in agreement with you, Joe, here. The Men on a Mission, while not looking good by any stretch, they looked okay here. They were trying. Kind of what Bartlett was saying with Mo and Diesel last week. You could tell that they were trying here. And so I will give them credit for that. But he did a couple decent moves. You're absolutely correct in his finisher. That belly-to-belly slam he does always looks great. And I thought that double choke slam that he did on Hancock looked pretty good too, which was sold really well by Hancock, I thought. One part that confused me a bit, though, is Mo came in and you referenced it, Bartlett, where he kind of fails to get Hancock up in the military press a couple times. But then Vince says that it was just like a power bomb. And I'm thinking to myself, no, Vince, that was nothing like a power bomb. People land on their back when they're power bombed, but whatever. You get those ridiculous statements out of him sometimes, I guess. And then we learn that in the middle of this match that we're going to be missing a couple Raws coming up. The U.S. Open is going to be after SummerSlam, so it sounded like 2. We're going to miss 2 different Raw here, and that's going to be starting what they're going to call their next season of Raw.
Yeah, I just want to go on the record as saying that you guys like to bust me and my mother's balls for watching the fucking dog show. Now that's 1 week that you missed for that, and I don't want to hear it ever again now that we're missing 2 weeks.
I don't watch the U.S. Open.
I don't care. The U.S. Open is taking 2 weeks away, so the next time you want to bitch about that.
Hey, I'm just saying I don't watch it. But but when Raymond comes in and he starts his little offensive on Mabel turned around and he started his typical no-selling, and man, I got flashes of Bowser again. He did this like over-the-head bash with one arm. It was just like a bleh. And then it was also, he finished too with a Bowser move. Like after he won, he kind of did the jump around in the ring and shake everything.
Oh, yeah.
Outside of that, I also agree. I like the little bit of promo at the end. I love when wrestlers do that. I think that's a good way to end matches.
I agree with both of you on that one. What I'm taking away from what you're saying here, Ryan, is that the strategy for beating Mabel is to stand underneath him as he's jumping and then get out of the way just in time so that he eventually wears a hole in the ring and goes through.
I think that's it.
I'm not sure he can jump.
Oh, and tune-up match. I didn't give my 2 cents on the tune-up match. You're not familiar with that term. I've heard that term used in similar contexts as to mean just like you would tune up a car. It's kind of your first run to kind of get the kinks wore out.
Okay.
A tune-up run. So
the only context that I can think of having heard it in is whenever you're talking about somebody that is pretty fucked up on some kind of substance, generally cocaine. Whenever somebody's pretty high on cocaine, you say they're tuned up. I didn't think that was what it meant, but, I had to ask. While we're going for opinions here, let's get Dean Douglas's opinion on the report card. Dean Douglas is in his satellite classroom, that being built out of 2x4s and corkboard, filled with screens and production equipment. This was basically just a closet.
It was like our music room back in elementary.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a trailer that somebody
That's what
in.
It reminded me of, yeah.
And then built a little gangway walkway to get to it. Dean Douglas is finally happy with what he saw. He's liking the action of men on a mission and makes it a point to name Mabel specifically, not Mo. So that's where we see his favoritism laying. Douglas's grade for Mabel is NC, standing for New Champion. But we finally get a little bit of personality out of Dean Douglas here as he laughs jovially at his own humor, saying that for Diesel, class is dismissed. I was kind of surprised that he was not being just a dry fucking turd this whole time and actually showed a teensy bit of personality. Joe, what did you think of this toss-up in the Dean Douglas format here tonight?
I mean, it's different cutting a promo on the people that were just in the ring. Obviously, men on a mission are heels, so, it was a little bit different. Plus, he's in his satellite classroom. It looked like he was in the back of like a video truck or something, Isn't a dean like a kind of like a liaison between students and the college? I mean, isn't that what a dean is? Are they a professor too?
From what I know of it, which admittedly isn't much, a dean is the head of a department or the entire school. So you can have, for example, Slippery Rock, there was the dean of Slippery Rock, but then there was also like the dean of admissions, there's the dean of fill in the blank for your different department.
I just always knew a dean as the person that would put you on double secret probation.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
He's a professor. I mean, that's the gimmick.
That's what it seems, yeah.
but we're calling him a Dean. I don't know. I hate all of it. I hate it.
Yeah. I always took it to mean that, not with old Dean Douglas here, but kind of like how teachers that want to become promoted through things, like teachers become principals, professors become deans.
Yeah.
I don't know, but...
My thought on the satellite edition of the Douglas report card is the same as the rest. They're still boring. At the beginning, I thought, hey, maybe we're changing things up here. Maybe it'll be a little bit better, but it's not. He does the same shtick. There's a word of the week, which is dominate this week. It should be telling that the only people he's liked so far is men on a mission. He's raving about men on a mission and how great of wrestlers they are. Yeah, not good.
Well, I can't add anything to any of that. You're right, it wasn't good at all. I did think that it was entertaining to imagine that his little satellite classroom was actually the back of like a panel truck. He's got like a little mobile surveillance platform he's driving around in.
Free candy kids.
Yeah, exactly. Back at ringside, apparently Dean Douglas will be live and in person at SummerSlam, critiquing matches.
Mm-hmm. Can't wait.
Can't wait to see how that turns out, yeah. Hopefully it is better than it sounds. And also, Vince is going to be signed on to America Online to chat with everyone excluding the West Coast. After a commercial break, we come back to Petting Zoo putting over a Sid angle here. Sid no longer cares about the championship, the heavyweight championship, because he's got his sights set on the winner of the ladder match and the Intercontinental Championship now. He's apparently lowered his expectations for his career. This little breakdown here will take us into our next match. The 1-2-3 Kid defeats the Brooklyn Brawler by pinfall in 1 minute and 32 seconds. For the purposes of this match, Brawler is not going to get squashed right off the bat. The Brawler is going to switch to heel mode. He's going to go after the Kid before the bell rings. A little surprising to me, but then again, I had to remind myself that the Brooklyn Brawler being, what did we say, the king of jobbers?
No, he's the Duke.
Yeah.
The Duke of Jobbers, pardon me. Being the Duke of Jobbers, he is extremely versatile and can be whatever he needs to be. So rather than being squashed by a babyface, he's going to be a heel here and get some heat for the Kid. So, such a professional. Goddamn, and I believed every second of it. A minute 32 is what this match was, and so just not a whole lot to talk about. The big points that I had here, the Kid reversing a move with a somersault into a spinning heel kick looked fucking amazing. I attribute half of that to the camera angle. Because of the angle, I couldn't really tell if the kick really came close to connecting or what, but goddamn, it looked good from that angle.
That's what the camera angle's supposed to do.
Yeah. At the end of the match, the rollover for the pin looked good. That was a nice, smooth maneuver there. And then the match is over. Ryan, what'd you think of this?
I completely agree with just what a professional the Brooklyn Brawler is. Just boom, switches right in the heel mode, and it looks flawless. Right out of the beginning, he takes over and he's beating up on the Kid for a little bit. And I loved this early spot where the Kid tries to reverse the Brawler by springboarding off the middle rope, but the Brawler ducks it. It's like a double reverse, and the Kid goes flying over his head. It was timed up really, really well. And I know it was a short match, only a minute 30, but it kind of felt longer, and not in a bad way, in a good way, just in that there was a little bit of back and forth before the ending of it. Maybe this was a throwaway line for you, but for me, this was a real memory moment. Jerry the King Lawler says that the Brawler might finish off the Kid quicker than Mike Tyson did Peter McNeely. Do you remember Petey McNeely?
No.
Yeah, the 2-minute fight.
Wait, I don't even think it was 2 minutes, was it? It was like 26 seconds.
Yeah.
It was Mike Tyson's first match back out of prison.
Wait a second. Was this the one where all the people that bought the pay-per-view ended up like super pissed off?
Yes.
Okay, I remember that.
So
now.
He comes back, his first match back, they put him up against this absolute bum called Peter McNeely. And he just humiliates the guy in like, I think it's 26 seconds, if I remember correctly. He just annihilates this guy. And then Peter McNeely actually had a little bit of 15 minutes of fame. Do you guys remember his Pizza Hut commercial?
No, I don't think so.
I don't remember that, no.
I remember it vividly. It was back when Pizza Hut first came out with stuffed crust pizza. And the shtick in the commercial was that McNeely's in the ring and he turns the pizza around to eat it.
I do.
And it hits him in the
that.
face and knocks him out cold.
Yes,
I
do remember that now.
And this is after that fight.
Oh, yeah, right after that fight, making fun of that he gets knocked out so easy. So at least he got to capitalize on it a little bit. But
yeah.
Back to the match, very short. That was just a great memory for me. Thank you, Lawler. And this was great work out of the brawler here and the kid. The kid comes back with some great high-flying moves and gets the 1-2-3. Excellent match.
Yeah, the kid is over.
Yeah.
The crowd loves it. If I'm there, I would be popping my ass off too. He's definitely a live crowd type of wrestler.
Mm-hmm.
Very entertaining. Brooklyn Brawler, I mean, you're getting the Duke, so you know it's going to be good work, good quality work. Both of these guys are just professionals, and the kid is just, again, he's so young, but he's still, I mean, you could argue he's more over than the champion right now than Diesel.
You could make a very good argument for that.
Yeah. So, he's right up there with like Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels as far as the crowd liking him. And Peter McNeely, I remember that they got some good shots in on him during this match. And wasn't that the one where he got knocked down a couple times and then his trainer like stopped the fight? It wasn't even a knockout, I don't think.
Maybe,
way,
but
it was an embarrassment.
either way, it was an absolute embarrassment.
It must have been like the Saturday before this Raw because they were really getting some shots in. Yeah, good match. I love the 1-2-3 kid, and I'm looking forward to seeing him against Hakushi at SummerSlam.
Absolutely.
Yeah, agreed with everything here. And about the boxing match, I don't remember any, once you described the commercial, I vaguely remember that because wasn't the pizza spinning around and hitting him in like slow motion?
Yeah. He's turning the pizza and it's like boom, and it hits him, and
with like flash bulbs going off behind in the background and shit.
Yep.
The big thing that I remember about that match is just the absolute uproar, like the day after, because people spent like $50 on that pay-per-view.
Yeah, that's what it was back then, 1995. It was $50 for a boxing match.
And it lasted all of, like you said, 30 seconds or whatever. And everybody the next day was like, that was such a fucking ripoff. And
it's on par with 1995 pay-per-views.
Yeah, true dat. All right, well, let's head back to ringside. The King is going to use that thing that draws on the screen. What is it called? Do you guys know?
The telestrator.
They use football all the time.
There you go.
Telestrator? Is that what it is? Okay. The King uses the telestrator to draw zits all over a still shot of the kid. And then Vince uses a Stridex pad looking thing to erase them on the screen. Supersized Stridex pads for simple pimple control. I expect the check in the mail, Stridex. Now, let's take a look at last week when Henry O. Godwin had it out with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. DiBiase got slopped. That's going to take us into our next match. The Undertaker defeats Tatanka by pinfall in 6 minutes and 41 seconds. Tatanka is out first, but we can't possibly deal with that right now. Let's go over to Barry fucking Godensky. The Undertaker shirt that Barry is hawking tonight is badass. I don't care what anybody says. I would have fucking worn that shirt. And guess what? Not only is it a badass shirt, it comes with fucking 3 months free of the WWF magazine. And not only that, they are so goddamn generous. You also get a box of supersized Stridex pads. And Vince just loves
belly
that.
Laughing. Belly laughing at the Stridex.
Allow you to clean up that pizza face.
Yeah. I'm telling you, this is genius subliminal marketing. After last year in Domino's Pizza,
you eat Peter McNeely's stuffed crust. You need to wipe away the grease.
All right, well, we cut to commercial. and come back to see the start of The Undertaker's entrance, but then we cut to commercial again and come back to Taker removing his jacket. There's a huge chunk of the theatrics that's missing from this that kind of pissed me off, honestly. Not as pissed off as The Undertaker is. He takes it straight to Tatanka at the start of this match. The first half of this match is pretty good work. There's nothing really to highlight, necessarily. The work was just, it was good on both sides here. It flowed. It flowed well, and it was a good match. Other than a botched move from Tatanka, I think it was supposed to be a reversal into a Samoan drop, but it was a little too fast for Tatanka to maintain control, and it just kind of winds up a pile in the middle of the ring. But eventually, as the match continues, the crowd kicks up a chant of rest in peace, and Paul Bearer just fucking loves it. Paul Bearer, you could hear him squealing at ringside over the crowd noise. It was amazing. And ordinarily, I don't go for this kind of thing, but the segue into the USA promo copy, fucking immaculate.
Yeah, way to go, Vince.
I mean, I didn't copy it verbatim here. I hope one of you guys, maybe not copied it, but has more about it than me. But God, I have to hand it to Vince on that one. It was so fucking smooth. I mean, that's a far cry from him needing to correct Ted DiBiase. There's another commercial break. Seems like we have to fit as many as we can into the one match of the night that is guaranteed to be exciting. Finally, the choke slam tombstone pin combo looked great as usual. And I was going to say that the way the match ends is great, but we don't get to see it because we have to cut to Diesel's fucking face with Stridex graphics. Such a just disappointing way to end this. I would have loved to see any kind of Undertaker procession leaving the ring, whatever. I don't care, as long as it wasn't Diesel with Stridex fucking pad graphics. But anyway, before we move along to the Stridex-centered material, Joe, what did you think of this match?
The Undertaker is very accustomed to casket matches. I don't know if you guys knew that, but Vince,
Oh, really?
Vince told us that tonight. So we learned something new. The t-shirt that Barry was giving away sort of reminded me of those knockoff concert shirts that the guys are selling after the show for like $10.
Yeah.
And it's not a knock on the shirt. It looked like one of those types of shirts.
Mm-hmm.
This match was okay. I thought it was decent. I would expect something similar out of Kama and Undertaker at SummerSlam, but obviously there's going to be a casket involved. I don't remember this casket match at all. I feel like I remember most of Undertaker's casket matches from the 90s, but I don't remember this one. So I'm interested in seeing it. Tatanka looked like his timing was off a little bit in this match, and I would assume that these guys worked together on house shows before, but I don't know. There was just something weird about his timing that was off a little bit, but Undertaker got all of his shit in and pretty much dominated the match for the most part, and no appearance by Kama at all. No interference, nothing. So this was purely just to get the Undertaker over and get us ready for his SummerSlam match. And it also looks like Undertaker added to his tattoo collection, I think, recently. Looked like his arms were like almost fully covered by this point.
I thought that this was a great match. I had a lot of fun watching it. It starts out, Bartlett, you alluded to that we didn't get to see the full theatrics of the Undertaker's entrance, but the crowd, you could just see they were all on their feet going nuts to see one of the best entrances in the business. And, I thought that Lawler does a great job at the beginning here of just playing up the Undertaker's gimmick. He's the heel here and the Undertaker is the baby face, but even he fears the Undertaker and talks about how Kama messing with the Undertaker's minions was probably a bad idea. And from that point on, Tatanka does, I agree with you, Joe. Looks like he's just a step behind the Undertaker in a couple spots here, but other than that, I thought they worked really well together and the crowd got everything that they wanted to see here. The Taker was doing all of the classic spots. There's the spot where Tatanka gets Taker in a sleeper hold, and I was laughing my ass off because Vince and the King, right at that moment, are talking about how the Taker has not quite been the same since the urn, since Kama took the urn. And right at that very moment, there's a vendor walking behind the ring in that front row selling foam urns, just like a beer here guy at a sporting
Urns here,
event.
get your
Exactly. I mean, it was timed perfectly because right at that moment, I guess even a foam urn will do the job because the Undertaker rallies and he comes back and does the flying clothesline, tombstone, choke slam. I mean, we get everything, and the crowd loved it. I loved it. I thought it was an entertaining match.
Paul Bearer should have started waving money at that vendor.
Yeah, I can't disagree with either of you on any of this. It was a good match, and it did do a great job of getting us ready for SummerSlam here. A bit surprising that there was no funny business from Kama, but, hey man, that's fine. We're going to move it along now to the supersized Stridex Pad SummerSlam Insider. And guys, I'm just going to hit the highlights on this because basically Petting Zoo just told us a whole bunch of shit that we know already. So, in a nutshell, we all know that the WWF title will be on the line. We know we're going to have a ladder match between Shawn Michaels and Razor Ramon for the Intercontinental title. And we know that Bret Hart will be taking on Isaac Yankem, DDS. And after all of that, we get a promo from Men on a Mission. They're back in the locker room, and they want to have some words with us about their challenge to the Allied Powers. During this, Mabel drops a line about the Allied Powers' $1 million bodies and 10-cent brains, like what Ryan said at the beginning there. I thought that was extremely clever, but there has been no word on whether or not the Allied Powers will accept this challenge. The British Bulldog is there in the building and ready to go, but we can't find Lex Luger anywhere. I'm not too broken up about that. Next up, there's going to be a special interview with Diesel, but first, TV trivia commercial. This was just insanity. I don't know what the fuck was going on with this, where this came from, but it's a TV trivia game that all culminates in this fat ginger bastard cleaning house and winning every single question with the answer, Monday Night Raw. Joe, what did you think of the new information that we got, although there wasn't that much, and that commercial that followed here, the report?
I liked the Isaac Yankem answering machine. As soon as I saw that, I thought, if some 12-year-old kid was watching this, they'd have no fucking clue what that thing is. The Bret Hart promo, I will defend Bret Hart indirectly here, I guess, and say that, this is the first time we're actually hearing from him about this feud. So it's, less than a week before SummerSlam. So it's not really a fair build-up on his side. He was probably filming Lonesome Dove until its cancellation. But yeah, it's the in-ring debut of Yankem, which is interesting. It's a good way to kind of build up a character, I guess, even though he's a dentist. It's still sort of exciting to see a guy debut on a pay-per-view. And the commercial was so strange. I thought it was like a mistake, but I thought, okay, this is the WWE Network. It's obviously supposed to be in here. At first, I thought that, but then it's like, okay, now they're kind of talking about wrestling, so it makes sense, I guess. But man, was that fucking weird.
Yeah, this report was kind of the same old stuff out of Petting Zoo, but I did have to note right out of the get-go here that Vince and Todd need to get on the same page, because we just got out of the Undertaker match and we had Vince and the King talking about how the Undertaker has not been quite the same since losing his urn and taking it. And then the first thing out of Todd's mouth is that the Undertaker has never been more aggressive or focused. So, yeah, just get on the same page, guys. Let's try and tell the same story. I enjoyed the Isaac Yankem answering machine. I thought it was a nice comical ending to these great set of videos we got out of him. Bret Hart's promo was just extremely short. We had the tone that I typically like out of Bret Hart, but it was just so short that it almost seemed like he didn't care about the match. I don't know. The promo, though, out of Mabel, that's why I used it as my opening line. The $1 million bodies and 10 cents brains that is a golden line out of Mabel there. The trivia commercial was bizarre. he just answers everything with Monday Night Raw. As a Trekkie, I will always get a kick. They bring up, I believe it's the final question, is what primetime hit show marked the return of William Shatner in 95? And of course, it's Monday Night Raw.
Monday Night Raw.
Monday Night Raw.
Monday Night Raw.
Buy my book.
So odd stuff there, but I'm still really looking forward to SummerSlam.
That TV trivia thing, that incredible piece of television, will take us into our next match. Jean-Pierre LaFitte defeats Scott Taylor by pinfall in 3 minutes and 4 seconds. LaFitte continues to look to be in great shape. The gimmick, such a goddamn shame. This has been like my fucking mantra with Jean-Pierre LaFitte for the past few matches we've seen him in. He looks great. He is in shape. His personal look with the eye patch works, but they just take it a touch too far in his clothing with the fucking pirate shit and talking about him stealing stuff, and I hate it, but man, he looks good in the ring. Scott Taylor, though, he looks pretty damn good here too. They are both working and selling. Scott Taylor does a pretty good amount of offense here, or at least it's a good amount in jobber terms. That doesn't last long, though. LaFitte gets him down with a slightly loose reversal, then proceeds to stomp the living shit out of Taylor in the middle of the ring. I don't know if that was just good working, or shoot kicks, or what. I feel like a broken record saying that sometimes every week, but goddamn, he made it look real. Just a brief pause, everybody. If you want to give Jim Ross a call at 1-900-SHAMELESS and find out why the big cat Ernie Ladd has been hanging out with Men on a Mission, go ahead and do that. JR is going to be on option 6.
I don't know why you're going to be doing that. Men on a Mission.
See, that's the Aaron Neville thing, remember?
Well, right, it sounds like Cleveland. Again.
Yeah.
Your Cleveland impersonation. Yeah.
Sir Mo, you got to stop talking about the wenches.
Sir Mo.
Terrible.
Back in the ring, I found this really weird. Lawler, at this point, mentions Elvis for like the 10th time tonight. What is up with that? Why the focus on Elvis?
They wanted your dad to come back and do his Elvis impersonation.
Oh. They mentioned earlier about that tired joke about bringing Elvis back to life to see what his daughter had married, and that's in reference to Michael Jackson, and just a whole bunch of stupid shit going on there with the Elvis references. Back in the match, though, the way that LaFitte sets up the cannonball finisher was pretty lame, I have to say. This is a problem that I'm noticing with a lot of spots in matches lately here in Raw. He takes plenty of time while Taylor is laying in the middle of ring to lie a flag on Taylor, and then he performs some complex hand gestures in the air and on himself while Taylor is still laying there, and then eventually climbs to the top rope in the corner and hits the cannonball. The cannonball itself, though, if we're ignoring the setup, the cannonball continues to deliver. It looks great. He gets great height and distance with it, on par with such a great worker. I'm still just astounded that this fucking gimmick hides such a great worker in the ring. We get the 3 count out of that. So, Ryan, get us started on Jean-Pierre LaFitte here.
I'm going to say that I was disappointed, and not by Jean-Pierre LaFitte's ring work or Scott Taylor's ring work, really. I think through this entire match, there was one slight botch towards the beginning on a reversal. Outside of that, very clean work out of everyone involved, but I am just disappointed in the gimmick, and not just the gimmick, but that stupid thing they did with the finisher, laying the fucking pirate flag over his chest before he does a very nice looking finisher, the cannonball. It's like adding the stupid fart noise to Dom's whoopee cushion, it's just so stupid. Like, why?
I'm sorry. That's perfect. No, you're absolutely right. I'm sorry. I'm not.
I know. I understand that you're not laughing at me here.
You're spot on with that, though.
But I can't get over what they're doing with this gimmick. And I don't know. I don't know what they think they're going to do with this. They're playing up that he's undefeated, yet they refuse to put him against anyone that's not a jobber. Who gives a shit if he's undefeated against a bunch of fucking no-namers? They're ruining this guy.
Yeah.
Well, first off, how dare you compare this to the whoopee cushion? And second, I like your use of the word disappointed, and I am going to say I'm just uninterested now in Jean-Pierre LaFitte, and it's a shame.
Yeah.
It's because of the gimmick. Mm-hmm. It's only the gimmick. The cannonball's a cool move. All the shit before is not good. Not cool
Ruin
at all.
It with a fucking pirate flag.
Not cool. And even Scott Taylor, Scott Taylor kind of showed glimpses similar to Jeff Hardy last week that we talked about. It's like, this guy's a little bit above a jobber,
For anyone that doesn't remember, he's Scotty Too Hottie.
Yeah, so not a bad match, but I'm completely uninterested in Jean-Pierre LaFitte, and it's all Vince McMahon's fault and no one else's.
Yeah, you know what? I defy anybody to argue with us on this one because it's like we've all said, the potential and the work, and it's all there. It's all there ready to be harnessed and exploited for cash in true wrestling fashion. But they just, goddamn, the fucking yoke they put on poor Pierre-Carl Ouellet for this shit. Oh, man. It really is a shame. That's the best way to put it. It is a shame that they're doing this to this guy because, oh, man. It's like so many other people that we talk about. If they would have just given him a straight-up name and plain black trunks, he could have fucking went places with this. But that's nothing that we don't say at practically every fucking match that we see of his. So we'll move it along. Let's take a look at Goldust. I didn't, write down any quotes here, but in my personal opinion, fucking amazing yet again. I'm not sure if I'm still just riding that nostalgia train on this or what, but it seems like Goldust is aiming for an angle with Shawn Michaels on this, which, as we all know, is probably going to be pretty damn good. Two really great ring workers getting in there together.
I really hope that happens.
Yeah, me too. I remember these vignettes, but I don't remember individual matches up until a good couple years from now, and that's just because, I've drank half of my brain cells away. So I'm looking forward to revisiting some of these and getting a refresher. I really hope it happens with Shawn Michaels. Vince tells us apparently the internet lit up in response to Goldust last week. And there's no surprise on that because he is a scintillating, bizarre character. But let's get back to the ring now. Cue the gallop of Roseanne. Vince is going to interview Diesel. I felt that this was absolutely terrible, as usual with this. I'm not sure if I am just overly negative and tired of it, or if this is an objective opinion. I don't care. The banter was so disjointed in this. Vince was trying to set Diesel up with lines and prompts. We always hear about back in the day, whenever workers would go out to give promos, they would get bullet points. They would get an outline. Hey, whenever you're in the ring, you have to hit this point, and this point. However you get there is up to you, but just make sure you say it. It just felt like Diesel couldn't even do that here, and Vince was just blatantly prompting him, and it still just was barely working. Diesel just in general continues to annoy me here, and I want to go on the record as saying it's not Kevin Nash's fault. He's just a better heel than he is a babyface. We've talked about this before. None of what I say, I don't want to hear fucking people coming at me with like, yeah, but he was great in WCW. Yes, he was great in WCW because he wasn't getting stuck with this bullshit. But wait, what's this? It's the British Bulldog come to save the day. Never have I been happier to see the British Bulldog.
The friendship grows.
It does. It does. And in this particular case, I don't want to play our hand here, but this is a fantastic turn of events for the evening. We'll just put it that way. Because Lex Luger has apparently had a medical emergency. Isn't that just the best fucking news you can possibly hear? I loved it.
It's some good news.
So the Bulldog is here to ask the crowd, not ask Diesel, ask the crowd if they want Men on a Mission to take on the Bulldog and Diesel tonight, as opposed to Men on a Mission versus Allied Powers, which was the challenge previously. So, of course, that's going to happen now. The crowd fucking wants it. And at this point in my viewing of this episode, I had to note that this just felt so random. I was like, where the fuck did this come from? Like, there's mention of the tune-up match earlier, and I didn't understand what that meant. And now this.
Especially if I didn't have the knowledge that Joe told us last week about Luger leaving. Like, so
exactly.
That's the only thing playing in the back of my head is, okay, they're trying to do something to the fact that Luger left and salvage something out of that.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, again, like you say, back in 1995, if we're watching this in real time, none of us knows that. Well, anyway, I mean, the whole thing, like I said, just felt kind of random, and we cut to commercial and then come back to Mabel coming out saying that he's going to tell that 7-foot-tall totem pole what time it is. And once again, god damn it, a good, solid heel line out of Mabel. Where is this shit coming from? He sucked for 2 years, and now all of a sudden he's good.
They never let him talk.
Yeah, and this wasn't even a full-fledged promo. I mean, the camera that's at the entryway filming Mabel walk in just happens to catch Mabel saying that. It wasn't even an actual thing, but 7-foot-tall totem pole, what time it is. Fucking great. But before we move on to the culmination of all of this, Ryan, what did you think of this week's Goldust vignette, the Diesel interview, and then the British Bulldog's interjection at the end?
Starting with Goldust, it was a shorter promo than last week, but again, pun intended, it was still golden in this case. And I thought the King did an excellent job of segueing right into the internet going crazy into yet another plug for America Online chat room at 10 Eastern tonight. Way to go, King. Just shove it in there. But Vince in the ring with Diesel, completely agree. Diesel interviews are just bad. And, you know, you pointed it out just not too long ago. He looks like he's going to laugh the whole time.
Yeah.
And same thing. It looks like he's holding back a smirk the entire time. Bulldog comes down, and I was taken back a little bit, but, you know, I didn't care. Whatever. I like the British Bulldog. Our memory was tainted a little bit by Joe letting us know about the Luger information last week. So if I'm watching that in 95, or even now without that knowledge that Luger was on his way out, I am wondering what the hell went on here. Maybe he did have emergency? I don't know. You know, I would have been confused. So it was a little bit out of the blue, but anytime I get to see the Bulldog, I'm happy.
Yeah, the Goldust promo here, obviously it's great if he's going to go after HBK. Hopefully that continues. When I first see that, I think, oh, I hope it's not some bullshit Dean Douglas thing where he's just going to call out every babyface every week. So hopefully it'll be him going after HBK, and I actually have a little bit of news on that later from the Observer.
Ooh, all right.
Diesel interview, I'm not going to say anything that you guys haven't said already, but so Bartlett, I'll give you credit for the perfect description of, it's almost as if they told Kevin Nash, like, here's the points we want you to hit, and he just totally whiffed on all of it. It's just, it was really bad. And the Bulldog coming out at this point, to me, it just looks like it's, you know, another friendship bullshit thing. Obviously, we'll talk about it a little bit later. My mind totally changes from there.
Foreshadowing. So all that being said, now let's head into our next match. And actually, the final match of the night. So this match was mostly unannounced. This was just a call out from the middle of the ring, and Men on a Mission responded. So that being said, there wasn't a formal build up to this match like there is in most other matches that we have. The match, Diesel and the British Bulldog versus Men on a Mission, that's King Mabel and Sir Mo, is going to end in a no contest in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. This match starts off with Diesel and Mo going at it. The work here wasn't all that special, I thought. This was just another replay of last week.
They're trying.
And they are trying. Yes. And before I go any farther, I just want to note for our listeners that I do my notes in real time. So when I say this is me watching this and reacting to what I'm seeing immediately. Out of nowhere, I have to admit that this caught me completely off guard. This fucking swerved me, bro. The Bulldog betrays Diesel. The fucking Bulldog betrays Diesel, putting him into an attack from Mabel, and then proceeds to humiliate Diesel. And there's Jim fucking Cornette all of a sudden. And as if things can't get any better, the Bulldog latches on to Diesel and nails him with that fucking immaculate British Bulldog power slam.
How wonderful was that power slam? On a big guy like Diesel, he fucking slammed it like a champ.
You know, not often do I make, or at least try to make, direct comparisons with gimmicks and wrestlers, because in this era in the WWF, let's face it, we talk about it all the time, the gimmicks are generally bullshit. But in this case, the British Bulldog is bringing with him a moniker that, you know, is held over from his tag team days. You know, it's a sentimental type title. Nobody is thinking that, you know, the British Bulldog is actually a bulldog. But in this case, I am fully embracing the name Bulldog as a gimmick, because this is what it would look like for a bulldog to be fighting a bull. The British Bulldog is a good, what would you say, guys? Almost 2 feet shorter than Diesel.
Yeah, I mean, he looked like a midget next to Diesel.
He is a small brick shithouse, and he is fucking latching on to Diesel with his bulldog jaws. In this case, these roided up fucking shoulders and biceps and just the total I don't want to say total package, excuse me, but the bulldog physique that we all know and are used to seeing, like a true bulldog, just latches onto this big motherfucker and relentlessly just powers him to the fucking ground.
Juiced him to the ground.
So satisfying. So incredibly satisfying to watch. And I wouldn't quite say cherry on top, but the final splash from Mabel, that worked too. I was popping my ass off over all of this. I cannot express how happy I was with this. After things settle down, Lawler follows Cornette and the Bulldog back to the backstage as Mabel and Mo keep rubbing it in there in the ring. After another commercial break, Diesel is finally getting back to his feet, and I guess Mabel took the belt with him. They've got a strategy here, and they are keeping it to themselves. This strategy has been dubbed the Royal Plan. They are all very proud of themselves. Lawler takes turns interviewing a couple of the people there, Jim Cornette mostly. He gets a quick word in from the others as well, but suffice to say, this is all part of the quote-unquote Royal Plan. We get some replays of what just happened. Vince is speaking somberly like somebody just fucking died, as if this is the greatest travesty in the world. And I loved it. They replayed the power slam again. Ah, god damn. And that's it. We will fade to black. Joe, please, what did you think of this false match and the way that Raw ended tonight?
Well, I'm glad to hear my teaser did not spoil it for you.
No, did not at all.
Did not.
So neither one of you, both of you didn't see it coming.
No.
That's great.
Nope.
I kind of looked at it a little bit differently because I knew it was happening, but very well played here by everybody. To me, I had to think about this for a little bit because I agree with everything you said, Bartlett. I hated the fact that Men on a Mission is involved in this, but then I thought, well, at least it's not another bullshit Ted DiBiase thing that they're just randomly throwing in there.
It was Jim Cornette behind it all
Jim
along.
Cornette, if they have him break away from this Men on a Mission thing, I'm going to love this.
Yeah.
But I'll say this. This is the go home for SummerSlam. I had zero interest in the Mabel and Diesel match before watching this episode of Raw, and now I have some interest in that match. I will say that. So, yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I ended with this. It was like, I'm glad it's not Ted DiBiase, and I am now more interested in that title match.
Obviously, if we're going to say a match, there's nothing to talk about here. You know, Diesel starts off with Mo in the ring, but immediately the turn comes. And as we've just talked about, took me by surprise. And I thought it was great. I thought they did a fantastic job playing it up. Like you said, Joe, everyone involved here got me. You know, I'm a full grown adult here.
You were swerved, bro.
They fucking got me. I was a mark for this fucking story. You know, everything the Bulldog did was phenomenal, right up to the interview at the end where, you know, they leave us hanging. They're not even going to tell us why the Bulldog turned, why he decided that he's going to turn heel. And I mean, I could only imagine it's because he's been handicapped with Lex Luger for all these months. But what a way to end Raw. What a fucking go-home ending, right? Yeah. I mean, have we seen an ending for a go-home show this good in the time that we've talked about these? I don't think we have.
No, from 1993 till 95, no.
This is what you want out of a go-home show. Well done.
Yeah. Yeah, completely agreed. And Joe, you know, I'm kind of surprised to hear you say that you're a little more interested in Diesel and Mabel after this. Do you know why is that? Have you thought about why?
Well,
that is?
the Bulldog's involvement. Is he going to come out and cause some sort of interference? Who knows? It's like, it's sort of a impromptu thing that they had to do because of Luger. So it's like they can do whatever they want with the Bulldog here.
This is definitely a situation where addition by subtraction.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Get Luger the fuck out, and now we have Bulldog in a much more interesting storyline.
Yeah.
Well, see, that's why I was asking, because coming out of this, I was no more interested in Diesel versus Mabel, but I am a shit ton more interested in the Bulldog's future now that he's not good. And I mean, we knew it was coming, obviously, but now it's TV official that the Bulldog isn't going to be chained to Lex Luger, because even if we are contemporary fans watching TV back in 1995, as far as we know, Luger is still a babyface. You know, to us back then, this would have signaled the breakup of the tag team, especially with the addition of Jim Cornette, because the first thing that I think of with all of this is, well, first of all, that amazing power slam, but then second of all, can I dare to hope that we are going to get an Owen Hart British Bulldog tag team? Are we going to kind of just nudge Yoko to the side on that? Because as much as I like to bitch about singles wrestlers being in tag teams, you can't ask for a better fucking tag team if you're going to go that route than Owen Hart and the British Bulldog. That just sounds like a fucking match made in heaven.
I'd eat that shit up every week, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So that's what I was more focused on. This didn't really do anything for me at all with Mabel versus Diesel. I'm still not exactly down on it, but I don't see how that's going to work out well to being a good match, I guess.
I'm not saying it's going to be a good match. I'm saying just the story around that match is now more interesting.
Yeah, it's a more interesting story now, for sure.
Yeah.
All right, that's the end of the episode. We're going to take it now to highlights and lowlights. Ryan, please go first.
Highlight, man, we just got done raving about it. The fucking end of this Raw. This ending was just, as I already stated, everything you want out of a go-home show. The amount of heat that it brought for SummerSlam, I really didn't think was possible. I understand you guys are kind of arguing over, does it make you more excited for the Mabel Diesel match or not? You know, it doesn't necessarily do much for the match, but it just makes me more excited for SummerSlam because I thought it was a great ending. Low light, The whole Jean-Pierre LaFitte situation, not his match, not his wrestling, but everything about his character is disappointing in the way that they're handling his undefeated streak with jobbers. Now he's just this useless thief, and I hate how they're handling him. It's my low light.
My highlight is the same, the heel turn for the Bulldog, kind of a fresh start for him. Like we said, the options are just unlimited. You know, you could put him in a program against Bret Hart, put him in a program against Shawn Michaels, put him with Owen Hart as a tag team. There's a lot of options there. My low light is going to be the Diesel interview.
Oh, wow.
I feel like Vince had to be just, what the fuck are you doing? Had to be going through his mind during that interview. And it was just terrible.
Wow. Well, first of all, we're 3 for 3 on highlights. That ending, you've both said it already. This is what you want. You can't say it any better than that. This is the best possible way to end a Raw as a go-home show. And I would dare say that looking at the entire episode, minus 1 or 2 speed bumps, this is probably one of the best go-home shows we've seen.
Very strong go-home show. And Raw in general. Just a really
Top
good
3.
Raw.
Yeah. And honestly, up until you said that, Joe, I was falling with Ryan on this one. I was going to say the treatment of Jean-Pierre LaFitte as my low light. But Joe, you're absolutely right. This interview that Diesel did tonight, it was like if you took everything that sucks about Diesel and condensed it into whatever it is, 45 seconds to a minute in the ring, you would have this.
Like it was a mashup of all of his worst interviews.
Yes. Well, not just that, but and this gets back to what I say about how he always looks like he's holding back laughter. He has that attitude of all the rest of this shit is stupid, but I'm not. All of the rest of this shit is something that I don't want to be doing, but I'm going to stand here and do it anyway. All of this shit is laughable. This attitude, these traits that I just listed, they all get portrayed to us, the viewers, through his face across the screen. And you know what? In a heel, those are all fantastic traits. Those are all the traits you want in a fucking heel. But as the babyface continues to not work for me, brother, and yeah, Joe, you nailed it. This interview was just the culmination of everything that sucks about Diesel, in my opinion. But yeah, great episode. Great episode all around, though. Those couple little things aside. All right, so, Joseph, do you have some contemporary wrestling news from on and around August 21st, 1995 for us?
Well, guys, we mentioned that our next wrestling event will be SummerSlam. And then we have a couple weeks off. September 11th, 1995 is the next Raw due to the U.S. Open. So let's talk about Monday Nitro.
Oh.
The Monday Night Wars will officially begin, technically, on September 11th, but WCW Nitro will be airing its first episode on September 4th. And Nitro will be live every Monday, and Raw will just be live once a month. They're still sticking with their 4 shows in one city format. That's important because it gives WCW the edge in knowing what WWF is going to air on their program, because it's all pre-recorded. Obviously, Eric Bischoff used that like a total asshole later on. So that's what's going on. The Monday Night Wars are officially going to begin. So it'll be cool to see how things change for WWF if they start to amp things up a little bit, turn up the volume.
One thing I'm kind of looking forward to is in this episode, Vince says, how that when they come back will mark the next season of Raw and that it's going to have a new look and sound and feel.
Right.
So I'm interested to see what they're changing up for the new season.
Yeah. Completely. Now, on the same topic, at this point, Lex Luger, his contract, he's under contract with WWF until October. So he's not technically gone yet, which is important. I mean, he gave his notice, but he is not gone yet. Meltzer feels like Vince is still trying to work out a contract with Lex Luger. So Luger obviously shows up on Nitro. So that was like a big fuck you to Vince. So that was a big deal back then. But Meltzer talks about Luger, saying that he basically praised Luger for his ability to make money without actually drawing any, and completely lacking charisma. This guy was making, pretty much top guy money for doing nothing. So
he's not wrong there.
No.
And also with Nitro starting on September 4th, WCW is targeting some big names floating around, obviously including Lex Luger. Too Cool Scorpio is on their radar, as well as Sabu, some guy that I've never heard of. I don't know if you guys have heard of him. Chris Benoit. I don't know who that is.
No.
Yeah,
no, never heard of him.
Eddie Guerrero and Dean Malenko are on their radar. Probably the biggest name here, Adam Bomb.
Got to get him back.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So Adam Bomb, it's another situation where he has 6 weeks left on his WWF deal, but he said fuck it and left. He's gone. He left on August 17th, so we don't have to deal with his shit.
Oh, no. The fans are going to be tearing down Vince's door to make sure he fucking comes back.
So next piece of news here, Ryan, I want to get your thoughts on this with all of your jobber research.
Mm-hmm.
Something that Meltzer notes in here is that since Marty Jannetty paralyzed a man in the ring, I think that was in... I think that was in like 1993 maybe or two.
Great segue.
So Meltzer says you don't see quite as many one-off local jobbers with just 1 or 2 matches under their belts as much anymore.
But John Hancock was definitely that tonight. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think we're seeing more jobbers with like a semi-regular independent experience under their belt. Or like a regular company jobber.
Well, company jobbers. We're seeing a lot of reoccurring jobbers at this point, people we know well.
Yeah, yeah. It seems like 2 years ago, that wasn't necessarily the case, according to Meltzer. So a little bit of a change in the jobber scene there, thanks to Marty Jannetty.
Fuck it, Jannetty.
Some news on the Davey Boy Smith heel turn. They've been working on this at house shows, apparently. They were working on this as him and Luger disagreeing with each other during matches and Davey Boy turning on Luger. So the timing kind of worked out. With Luger leaving, Davey Boy kind of already had that worked out already at house shows. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So it's not technically out of nowhere, but it still sort of is. And Goldust had an interview on August 18th, and Meltzer says he appears to be getting a mega push by being put into a program with Shawn Michaels.
Excellent.
So he believes that we will see a Goldust Shawn Michaels program.
Looking forward to that.
Absolutely.
Yes. And that is all.
All right. Thank you, Joseph. Illuminating as always. For the record, as somebody that recently started rewatching Nitro from the very beginning, Bischoff wastes no time in exploiting the pre-recorded nature of WWF Raw.
Good, he should.
From damn near the first episode, he is constantly rubbing that in. So, well, that's it, folks. We're done with this one. I want to thank you again for joining us. And if you like what we're doing here and want to connect with us, you can find us on every major social media and podcast subscription platform by searching up the handle Wrasslin Raw. That's WRASSLINRAW. While you're there, don't forget to click subscribe to get every episode of Wrasslin Raw coming to you every week. Give us a 5-star review. Let your friends know about the fastest growing wrestling podcast in the world. Next week on Wrasslin Raw, it's going to be our holiday special. For those of you out there who have been with us from the beginning, every year we plan on doing our holiday special where we surprise each other and our listeners with our Mount Crushmores. We each pick our top 3 of something. We won't find out what that something is until we record. It's going to be a surprise for everybody. So I look forward to sharing that with you guys and everybody out there in podcast land. And then after our holiday special, we are going to be taking a look at SummerSlam 95. So, for Joe and Ryan, I'm Jason, and this has been Wrasslin Raw.